Hong Kong Democratic Party demands mainland to release activist Ai Wei Wei. Zero-tolerance approach is instructed to police about out-of-control parties. Good evening and welcome to News at 7.
Also tonight, another powerful aftershock rocked Japan, and British Prime Minister David Cameron visits Pakistan for the first time.
First, some Hong Kong stories. Members of the Democratic Party have started a 62-hour hunger strike outside of Beijing's Liaison office. They're demanding the release of mainland artist and activist Ai Wei Wei, who was detained in the capital last Sunday as he attempted to board a flight to Hong Kong. The mainland authority says he is being investigated for economic crimes and denied that his arrest is linked to human rights issues. A number of countries have called for his release.
Back home, the Police Commissioner Carl O'Callaghan has instructed officers to take a zero-tolerance approach to revellers at out-of-control parties. Last weekend, it took a dozen officers more than an hour to break up a party in Southlake, where about 200 young people were fighting and damaging property. The Commissioner has foreshadowed more arrests by officers dealing with large disturbances.
The Transport Minister, Troy Buswell, has denied the claims that safety of the passengers on Perth trains is being compromised. He says safety devices installed on Perth trains are among the best in the world.
A report has revealed more than a third of Perth's train drivers who took part in the survey are falling asleep at the controls because of fatigue. The ABC has obtained a copy of a report completed last year for the Public Transport Authority, in which 124 Perth train drivers were surveyed. While 64% said they have never fallen asleep at the controls, 33% admitted they had done so on occasion, and 3% did so regularly. Mr. Buswell says the Vigilant device installed in trains can ensure that drivers are active, and the automatic train protection devices are able to stop the trains automatically if it goes through a red light. Labour's transport spokesman Ken Travers said earlier that the state government must deal with the issue immediately. He said Premier Colin Barnett should put fixing the public transport system at the top of his list. Shibs, DHK News.
The Australian Defence Force says it was a sonic boom created by fighter jets and not an earthquake that created a tremor in Perth on Thursday. Brayden Edwards has more.
The quake was felt by hundreds of residents from the northern suburbs down to Baldivis and Mandurah south of Perth. Many reported hearing the quake and having windows rattled by the jolts. Defence spokesman Gary Boots said a joint Navy-Air Force operation had been conducted 50 nautical miles off the coast, where aircraft were required to break the sound barrier, resulting in a sonic boom. Brayden Edwards, DHK News.
A powerful aftershock that rocked the area of Japan, still reeling from last month's earthquake and tsunami disaster, has killed 4 people and caused water leaks at the nuclear power plant. According to GG News Agency, about 3.6 million households in the northeastern region are still without power.
The 7.1 magnitude aftershock is the biggest to hit Japan since a massive 9.0 magnitude earthquake and subsequent tsunami that struck almost a month ago, killing 12,608 people with a further 15,073 listed as missing. The quake, which hit the Miyagi prefecture, prompted Japanese authorities to warn that waves of up to 2 meters could hit the shoreline, but the tsunami warning was later cancelled. The Fire and Disaster Management Agency said up to 130 people were injured, and a 63-year-old woman in the Yamagata prefecture died after a respirator failed when the power was knocked out by the tremor. Reports said that 2 men aged 79 and 85 were killed in the Miyagi prefecture. Broadcaster NHK said that the 79-year-old was found unconscious after the quake and was taken to hospital, where he was confirmed dead, while GG Press said an 85-year-old man also died but gave no further details. Shibs, DHK News.
David Cameron has hailed the unbreakable bond between Britain and Pakistan as he made his first visit to the country as Prime Minister. The two countries had agreed to try to double bilateral trade to £2.5 billion a year by 2015. Beck Jenner has more.
The British PM's trip has been seen as an effort to patch up relations with the country after his comments provoked quite an angry response since they were made during a visit to regional rival India. Mr Cameron insisted the UK and Pakistan shared many interests on the battle to confront terrorism. He began the speech by saying that Britain's friendship with Pakistan is unbreakable.
And let me begin by saying without any hesitation that Britain's friendship with Pakistan is unbreakable.
The Prime Minister also said there was no doubt about the strength of the links the two countries shared in many areas, including security, education and trade, of which the talks concentrated. Beck Jenner, DHK News.
Time for sports with Brayden Edwards and a lot of action on the tennis field.
Thanks guys, welcome to Evening Sport. I'm Brayden Edwards. Second seed and defending champion Samantha Stosur crashed out of the WTA event in Charleston, South Carolina, after falling in straight sets to unseeded Russian Elena Vesnina. On a day when top-seeded Caroline Wozniacki passed a tough test with flying colours, coming up with 2 tie-break victories to reach the quarter-finals, Stosur fell 6-4, 6-1 to Vesnina after a 2.5-hour match. In the quarter-finals, Wozniacki will play 6-seeded Janina Wickmeyer from Belgium, and Vesnina next plays Germany's Julia Gorges. Hawthorn coach Alistair Clarkson is adamant star forward Lance Franklin will play in tonight's AFL match against Richmond. There are persistent rumours Franklin rolled an ankle at Thursday's training. Adding to the speculation, Franklin and captain Luke Hodge were in running shoes and only did stationary skill work as their teammates had a light run on Friday at Waverley. But Clarkson said it was nothing more than managing 2 key players through shorter breaks between games. Meanwhile, Richmond coach Damien Hardwick feels his side is a dead-set chance to knock over Hawthorn for its first win of the AFL season. That's all the sports. Hope you have a great weekend. Ivan.
Thanks Brayden, and that's DHK News for tonight.
Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Good night.